that Zaius did not want the information about the Forbidden Zone to go back so that the general would not suddenly want to take it over.
Yeah.
It's just one of those films that falls flat with its logic. You look at this, and again, unless you can find why the general is worried about crops, or it would be sure would be nice if he simply to one of his subordinates said, "I'm not talking about crops. They need a reason. They need a reason. I have my reason. My reason is I want to wipe." Something like that. It should be explained.
So the general says, "We'll invade or we'll starve." It's as simple as that. And Zaius says, "And as dangerous." And then general says, "What is more dangerous?" And it's
the fool of
they're kind of setting up this movement of them into the Forbidden Zone, right? I mean, that's what we gather from this, right?
Yes.
Regardless of whatever's happening with Brent and Nova, whatever's happening with Zira and Cornelius, the general is talking primarily about invasion.
Mm-hmm.
Invasion for food, but invasion and movement over and taking over the Forbidden Zone.
Right.
It just speaks to something that's happening culturally at that moment versus just a story about them going to the Forbidden Zone. That's a quest. That's a mission. That's a Tomb Raider. That's a Lara Croft. I mean, it's not a...
Yeah, but I really have to say that you can have your cultural significance of the issues that are actually happening in that society at that time and you're commenting about it, but you make a much deeper, more sound comment about that if you think through your logic. And I think their logic is very flawed.
Well, how about this? Having only seen random walls of fire and a cliff and Taylor falling into a cliff, I do not know why the general is so intent on going to the Forbidden Zone. And right now it's being set up as famine.
And I think that we can sit here and fight about it all day.
Until we get more fighting?
I think so. I see blood on your face. You didn't know it. But you can, there are all kinds of things that are wrong, but that makes what we've talked about before, like when we talk about comic book characters, you can understand their reasoning, but it's flawed. And I think it'd be interesting if he knew there's all these things in the Forbidden Zone and he's leading his troops out there because he's on a misguided agenda. And that's very nuanced for a 70s science fiction film for it to have that kind of thing.
But they're setting up weird things happening in the Forbidden Zone. Mm-hmm. They're setting up the fact that they need food.
Yep.
And they're setting up the fact that, even though it hasn't been really talked about, is that somehow humans are involved. Either for their famine, the chimpanzees want to support the humans. Like, that whole thing doesn't really make sense based upon what we've been told.
And of course, y'all know more than me because I have not seen the movie. I've only been watching it minute by minute. But for all we know, in the next 2 minutes, they will give us another rationale. Who knows? I mean, we are arguing minutia over stuff without having the full scope of the movie in front of us.
Are we arguing?
That's what we get paid big bucks for, is to argue minutia.
You motherfuckers get paid.
Yeah. Damn it. I told you I wouldn't tell him that.
Oh, man.
All right, that's minute 24, isn't it?
I think so.
Yeah.
All right, minute 24 in the books. We will be back tomorrow, minute 25. To wrap it up on Friday, I am Todd for Rich and Sean. Everybody have a great day.
Good night, everybody.
Beneath the minute of the apes. Beneath the minute of the apes. Beneath the minute of the apes.
The only good human is a dead human.